Okay, so we have our SVG graphics we created in Inkscape brought into Blender and turned into a mesh now. Uh, first thing I want to fix, probably should have fixed it last time, is if I select the character, notice that the move tool showed up way over here at the origin, and not really on our character. So I want to set the origin to the character. Probably could have included this in the first video. It's this thing right above the move tool. This is our 3D cursor. That little kind of looks like a target sort of thing. So it's a reference point, a movable reference point we can use. So I'm going to set that right around the waist, maybe a little above the waist, somewhere about the middle of the character. And then with the character selected, I'm going to come up to Object and set Origin to that 3D cursor. So now that move tool shows up where the character is at. Shift S, I'm going to move the cursor back to the origin. You don't need to worry about too much about that. That's more advanced. So you can just click and put that wherever you want it. But now our character is kind of, those origin points on the character look like they're about the middle of that. So we can click and drag from a spot on the character, not over to the bottom left of the character. And I think a really good spot for the character would be down here at the origin. So if we come to this orange square thing, that's the properties about our object. A lot of different things, in particular the transform. And notice our X, Y, and Z locations. So I want to go ahead and put this back to the origin. So I'm going to put that at 0, 0 and basically center the character at the origin. And I just want to do that because I think it will make it a lot easier to aim a camera at the character later. We can just plug in the numbers so that the camera is facing straight towards 0, 0, and then just move it a little bit back the Z-axis to get a good angle straight on a whole lot easier without manually adjusting the camera to the spot we want it need it to go. But that probably should have included that in first when we import an SVG. The origin of the image is set to the origin of that file, but it makes more sense to have it at a sensible spot on our image. So now that we have that, we're ready to add a skeleton to this. So then we can create a skeleton, link this skin to the skeleton, and we'll animate our skeleton, and the skin will just trail along with it. So to do that, we go to Add, an Armature, and add a single bone, which seems to be oriented the wrong way. Looks like it's facing up the positive Z-axis by default. So if we push R to get the rotate tool, we can rotate it to all different angles. If we push X, that'll restrict us to just the X, around the X-axis, and then we can type in a number, so like 90. I meant to go the other way. So backspace, -90, there we go, and then enter. And now our bone kind of faces upward on the character. It's a little big though. I'm going to scale it down. So this is going to be the first part of move it back a little, the first part of the backbone. Well, really pretty much the whole backbone. So I'm going to push S to scale and just bring that down until it seems like about the right size. There we go, from around the hips up to the scapula or the shoulder blades. So now we have our first bone in there. We'll go to Edit Mode with the bone selected. Go to Edit Mode, and we just need to adjust this. But notice how that bone's behind the arm, and that's the part we want to see right now. So over here in our tools, these things at the bottom, those are our bone options. So there's things about a single bone, or the stick man is the entire skeleton altogether. So if we click on that, under the option Viewport Display, there's a little checkbox for in front. And that way that's always visible, because we definitely want to be able to see it the whole time we're adjusting. So now we can just select the different pieces of it, the either end or the whole thing at once, and use our move tool to get that bone into place. So kind of roughly following the back, where the backbone would be here. And then once that's roughly in shape, push E for extrude and bring out the next bone. So something leading up to the base of the neck, I guess the rest of the backbone. Then I'll hit E to extrude again for a bone representing the neck. Then E, extrude one more to do the whole head. And I'm going to turn this slightly to make sure that's on the right plane. Yep, that looks good. And just kind of go slowly and carefully, make sure everything's placed exactly where you want it. And be careful, do lots of checks along the way. And then just one bone through the head here. That way we'll connect, here in a moment, we'll connect this skin to that single bone so we can move the head back and forth while holding the neck still. Or they're connected, so if we move the neck bone, the head will follow the neck, and we'll do all of our movements that way. So I'm going to come back here about the shoulder, that little connection between the bones for the shoulder, and do extrude, E for extrude, and I'm going to do a little bitty one to start with, and then E to extrude another one for the upper arm, come down to about where the elbow is, E, extrude another one to come down to about the wrist, E, and get a bone for the hand. And they're all connected, so like if we rotate this bone here, obviously this bone and this bone would come with it, and if that skin is connected to the bone below it, that mesh would follow the skeleton around. Or we could just move this bone and only the hand would follow while the arm stays still. And that's how we do these animations. But a slight adjustment here. Remember, set those arms on a slightly different plane than the rest of the body. Because when we're looking straight on it, we can't tell a difference. But that will also be very helpful to prevent those images, movements of the arm from bleeding back over into the shirt too much. So I'm going to select that first bone and hold shift. So the upper arm, hold shift, and select the lower arm, and then the hand, and then slide all those up till they're about the same level as our arm there. So I think that's it. Somewhere right around there. Yeah, that looks like it's right about the middle of it. Could go up a little more. Somewhere where it's connected to it. That way our arm will clearly connect to those bones. And now, same thing for the other one. I'll come back to this shoulder spot. Yeah. And probably want to look at the other side for this. Whoops. Looking at the other side, I'm going to hit E to extrude. Do just a little bitty short one. E to extrude for the upper arm. Extrude for the lower arm. E and extrude a bone for the hand. And now I'll come to the side and move those up. So select the upper arm, hold shift for selecting multiple things. Select all three of those and bring those up to about the right plane. Yeah, that looks about right. And that way, that skin will connect to each one of those bones. So back to our original one. And now we can do our leg bones. So I'll come down here, E to extrude sort of a pelvis. And then from here, I'll extrude a small one out. Then extrude a thigh bone and a shin bone and something for the feet, a foot. And then back up to this point and same thing. So extrude something small, E to extrude the thigh, try to estimate where the knee is, the shin bone, and the foot. All right, so that gets our skeleton to the structure. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Oh yeah, I did, I think between videos, save it to a folder called Sprite, and I called it Mesh and Bones. So now we have our image brought in, and we have the skeleton. So we're ready to join those together so that when we move the skeleton, the skin will follow. So we go back in object mode, and the order we select this in matters. So we want the armature to be the parent of the character. So the order matters. And instead of just saying it, I'm just going to click on both of them and go through the process. So I'll click the skin first, and then the armature, and hit Control P to parent it, and that will set the parent. And first here, let's go with envelope weights. In 3D images, automatic weights work really well, but not so much in 2D images. So we'll go with envelope weights to kind of portion things out. And now, did that parent correctly? If we select the armature, I was expecting this to look different. I don't think it parented. If I select one of those and hit rotate, oh, yep. You can see when I move that, the skin comes with it. So if it doesn't do that, just undo it and select in the opposite order. But you want to select the child first, then the parent, Control P to parent it, and select automatic weighting. Oh, no, sorry, do not select automatic weighting. That works great for 3D stuff, but it causes problems in 2D stuff. So select envelope weighting for the 2D image. So now when we go to pose mode and move one of our bones, if I rotate this one, you can see the hand goes with it. But there's still a couple issues. Part of the hand didn't go with it, or a leg. If I rotate this, well, it's kind of working, but the entire shoe didn't come. So in the next video, we'll look about reassigning all the part of the skin that goes with each particular bone. So I'll see you in the next video for that. But yeah, so it moves with it, but there's still a couple issues that we need to come back and adjust to make sure that skin moves correctly with it. So we'll do that in the next video. See you then.